Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
If you'd like to sponsor Still Got Game, email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. Hey now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game, episode 304. Still Got Game is the official podcast of tooltoplay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I'm Tiffany Electrify Nolan.
Whoa! We have a special guest
Whoa!
in place of Dude I Rock this week.
There is no Dude I Rock this week. He made some BS about having to do stuff. So here I am.
Yes. And
yeah, he said he had to work or something. Which is fine, because we have a lot to talk about from the weekend anyway.
We do. But Jay was he was a little lame with his excuses, but we will make do. So thank you for taking the helm, Tiff.
I will do my best.
This will be a train wreck or fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
one or
totally.
the other. Or both. Who knows? All right. So before we get into the show proper, why don't we start off with some PAX East discussion? Because we were there this weekend. We spent from Thursday through Sunday there, and it was a good time. And we saw a lot of stuff. And I'll start out with some general thoughts. And I'm looking, Tiff, at your favorites list. And there's a lot of overlap with my favorites. Yes, like almost all.
Oh, so do you just want to read through mine?
No.
I'm glad you took a lot of notes here.
Well, I didn't need to put anything in the outline because I can shoot from the hip. I'm pro. This is what I do.
Yeah, I just didn't want to forget anything.
Oh. Well, before we get into it, let's start with PAX East in general. Overall thoughts on the size and content of the show.
Well, do we want to talk about this now?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it now, and then we'll blow it off later. That's the trick to this.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I got you. Okay, because I actually did read through the outline.
Okay, that's nice of you. But yeah, we just go with whatever I say. That's how we roll.
Okay, perfect. So just overall, I definitely was a little disappointed this year. I mean, there seemed to be a lot more walking space. They definitely did some better movement, kind of figuring out where the crowds were going to be. There was not the huge riot booth right at the bottom of the escalators, which just, fucked up the entire traffic flow of the whole convention floor. Yeah. But we were definitely missing some big booths there. There was definitely a lot more smaller booths.
Yep, that's the first thing that shined out was that no Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, no Bethesda.
Yep, the staples of the show were missing, and
right. But Ubi had the lanyard, so it was kind of weird. Like they sponsored the lanyard, but then didn't have a booth.
Yeah, but like you said, where the big guys left out, the little guys stepped up there. 185 indies in the Indie Mega Booth this year, which was normally I would scoff at the Indie Mega Booth because indie games are usually shitty. But now, like we were talking about during the weekend with the advent of Unreal Engine and all these other engines becoming super cheap and widely available to indie developers, the quality of indie games now is phenomenal. We saw some game playing at 4K off a PC to a TV, a 4K TV.
Right.
And it was the best looking games I've seen. The graphics were phenomenal.
We just walked by. I'm not quite sure what they were doing in the game, but I mean, just the graphics were phenomenal. And you kind of did a double take as we were walking by that booth.
Yeah, the indies definitely were the ones to shine here. And there were plenty of big things, and we'll talk about our favorites in a second. But I think Tiff nailed it, is that the big guys were missing for the most part. Like Microsoft was there, and there were still plenty of big name companies there, but there were some notable absences. And I think that this plays into what Jay and I think even back when you were on the show with us a couple times, you and I and Jay all talked about, which is by taking the con market now and going PAX East, PAX Prime, PAX South, PAX Australia, E3, Gamescom, GameStop Manager's Show. You just keep piling these things on. Rooster Teeth Expo, it's
right. And a lot of our friends are actually coming from GDC too. So they had GDC at the beginning of the week, and they were coming right into PAX. So there was definitely there's too much.
Yeah, people, developers and publishers are now starting to have to pick and choose what they're going to go and cover, where they're going to show their presence, and I think in the long run, it ends up hurting gamers in general. It's there's definitely some drop off to the pomp and circumstance of the show when all of these major guys are not there, and Sony zero
most
presence.
definitely. Nintendo had a very small area just showing off Splatoon. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of disappointed this year. I was expecting more, and maybe it's just because our last event was E3 that it's kind of hard to compare a PAX event to E3. But comparing it to other PAX events in the past, it just even Saturday, which I hate going on the floor Saturday. Like even Saturday was not that bad there. No. And I think a lot of people were only going 1 day, 2 days. I'm glad we did 3 days because that means we didn't have to rush around and wait in line, and we had a lot more chance to walk around. Yep. But you easily could have done the whole con in 1 day.
Yeah, it was definitely a much more smaller and laid back thing. Now that does not mean that there were not things that didn't shine. So I'll kind of lead you into the list here, Tiff, in the order you put, but I don't know if I'd pick and choose the same order. But we definitely, for our favorite game, we saw during the press hour, the Friday morning of PAX East, which is the best time for press people to go in because the masses have not been let in yet. Like my brother described it, he was watching one of the days when the show floor opens up and the queue line dumps in, and he was up on one of the sky bridges watching down. He said it was kind of like watching World War Z, where just all the bodies float and they fill out every little empty space in the con, and they just mass around booths. But before that, we can actually move around and pick and choose what we wanted. So we started out and we checked out Blizzard's Overwatch, which was absolutely fucking amazing. My game of show. What did you think of it, Tiff?
Yeah, it looks great. It's their new team-based shooter. It's kind of a lot like Team Fortress 2. I'm sad this is going to be PC only. I'm hoping they bring that over at some point. Like they brought Diablo over. But it's a lot of fun. But it's really not anything new.
No, it's new to Blizzard. It's
new to Blizzard, right? And Blizzard's going to do a great job with it. But it's not like a new game style. It's not a new concept. It's pretty much run around and shoot things. Oh, I know.
There's only so many game styles out there. So the mode we actually played was a capture the objectives type game where two teams, tons of player classes. Each class has a primary weapon. Like my guy was rocking dual pistols. My special move was like a teleport where I could teleport ahead. I had some supplemental moves that would charge up over time, and there were tank classes and there were attack classes, and it was every bit Blizzard while at the same time being every bit MOBA meets Team Fortress type style game. And
right, I definitely see a lot of people spending a good bit of time with it.
Yeah, I am really, really looking forward to that. That game was not, even after the announcement, was not terribly on my radar, but now it is absolutely on my radar. And I don't care if it's PC only because
you're going to have time to play on the PC.
I know, there's just so many games now.
There's only so much Destiny you can play, though.
This is true.
At some point, you do actually have to stop playing Destiny.
Eventually, I'll have to wait for Destiny 2, but not yet. Not until all the expansions are out and done. But this is something else we saw that was awesome, and now I've been checking out here at home is Smite on the Xbox. So
Jay's actually talked about that one a couple times. He seems like Jay was playing a lot of that, and I'm kind of glad to see it coming to the Xbox.
Yeah, that was a lot more fun than I thought, because I thought originally it was just going to be another MOBA, because I hadn't actually taken any time with Smite on the PC. But it has this arena mode, which is basically forget all the stupid bullshit, towers
you have to go down
and everything
your
else.
certain lane
It's just one giant room, no lanes, everybody's fighting, arena style, really good time. And the controls on the Xbox felt really smooth. There's a whole bunch of different control layouts you can pick from. And it's a blast, and that's coming to Xbox in the next couple weeks. I've been, like I said, we got a early access code, so we're playing here at the house. But it is it's definitely something to keep your eyes open for. And being a free to play game, how can you go wrong?
It's done great on the PC, so it's going to probably do pretty well on the Xbox as well. Like you said, it's a free to play. I'm not sure what the actual pay is, like what advantage that gives you. I'm not that familiar with it yet.
Buying the currency and the other
so you can level up
champions.
level up armor and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, is that the one that you were able to turn on like an auto?
Yeah, auto buy. So yeah,
Auto
if you're
buy,
not
yeah.
if you're not a person that's familiar with MOBAs, they have this feature where as you level up, instead of having to deal with, all right, I leveled up, let me go back and go into the shop and buy some stuff. If you don't know how to do that, you don't need to learn how to do that. They have an auto buy that's on by default if you want, and it'll just automatically pick the best things for not only your character but your play style that it's adapted to you, and that seems to work out real well. But
yeah, I like that part because that way I can just go in and button mash and I don't really have to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to learn more and you want to pick your own way to go down that tree, that's fine too. But it offers that other way, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. And then the last thing we saw, which was amazing during our media hour, was the Oculus Rift booth. And
my gosh.
They have outdone themselves. This hardware now, I don't think Tiff had tried it until this show.
No, this was my first experience with it.
But I had hit it at the past two PAX, the past two E3s now, and this was definitely the pinnacle of the hardware. The latency was virtually non-existent. You move your head and it was instantaneous. You couldn't. There was no lag behind where you were looking, what you were doing, and what we ended up seeing was almost just it was probably 16 different 30-second tech demos, all chained together, and you're in a room, you're wearing the Oculus Rift, and from the first one to the last one, they were all different, but they all offered some sort of really immersive feel to it, and I'm fucking so psyched for this thing.
Yeah, the one that really got me was there was a part where you heard there was this big long hallway, and you heard something large at the end of the hallway, kind of like stomping towards you. And the next thing you know, there's this big ass, dinosaur. I think it was a T-Rex that kind of came around the corner, and it's just slowly walking towards you. And you're just standing here, and you're like, oh my God, there's a fucking dinosaur coming right at me. And like I wanted to run away. Like it was that real. Like I'm sure my heartbeat, was just going out of control at that point. But he comes right up to you. He like opens his mouth, and I don't know, what do they do? Growl? I don't know. What does the dinosaur do?
Give you a big roar.
Yeah, he's like roar, like right in your face. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if there'd been like water splashed on my face, like a 4D experience or something. That'd be kind of cool. But then he just like walked over you. And like I literally ducked because I thought he was gonna like hit me. It was insane.
I did the same, and actually I turned my head to look up, and you could actually because the Oculus is constantly looking what direction you're looking and everything else, you could actually look up and see his underbelly there, and it was
right.
It was quite an experience. My favorite part of the demos was one that after each of these 30-second things, it would kind of fade to black and then come back up, and it faded up, and I'm looking around. It's like this real futuristic city. And I feel like I'm on the top of a building. And then I look down, and I am on this little teeny ledge overhanging the this entire skyscraper. And it really has that feel. You're like, holy shit. And the woman that was in the room kind of holding my Oculus Rift cable and walked me through it was like, oh, why don't you take a step forward there? I was like, no, that's really okay.
Yeah, it was funny. When I came into my room, the guy warned me. He's like, don't step off the mat. He's like, the girl, in here before you almost did a face plant into the wall. It was probably, thinking back now, it was probably that scene there where you were standing on the building and she just kind of lost her balance. Yeah. But I mean, even at the end of that, they kind of showed a whole sequence of, it was kind of like an army battle or a futuristic battle. And you had, you're like in the battle. Like it's just the potential here for so much stuff is just, it's amazing. I'm really excited to see what they do with this.
Yeah, I am pumped for that. And those were my three favorites of the show. And Tiff, you had something else that you were a fan of that was a little lower down on the radar. But
I know, but you kind of, we saw a bunch of stuff in the indie area, and I gotta say my absolute favorite indie game that we saw was a little game called Divide by Sheep, and it was it's like a puzzle math game, and it's going to be on mobile devices and PC, I think later this year. But it's just a simple math game, but you don't even realize you're doing math because you have to get so many sheep onto a platform at a time, and there's other obstacles in the way. Like I think at the one point there was like this wolf that you had to so let's say you have to get 4 sheep onto this platform, but you have 5 sheep. So you got to jump them over to a platform that has one of these, black wolves that like eats one so that you can get exactly 4 over. But like you enjoyed it. I know you did.
No, there was
it was
TNT,
a really fun.
there was blowing up sheep, there was
Yeah.
cutting sheep in half. Like, how could you not like that game? But it was like one of those fun no-brainer iPhone games like Cut the Rope or one of those. But
Exactly.
the underlying mechanic of it that you don't even realize is you're doing all sorts of math, and it's fun and probably good for kids too. But.
Yeah, definitely.
And then as far as our nighttime activities went, Friday night we had the Twitch party. Those guys were amazing. Amy and Amber hosted us there, and Twitch was a fantastic time. They had taken over Jillian's in Boston. They had multiple floors, and it was a absolute zoo. So now, in addition to just having a normal party and VIPs, they also had a bunch of Twitch partners there. So it was a different sort of party dynamic, to say the least. It wasn't the Frag Dolls parties of old where everyone was dressed up. We were dressed up, but then there's partners in T-shirts or whatever they stream in. But it was a blast. And then the other big party we hit was Saturday night, which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Harmonix was Saturday night, and that was probably the most fun I've had at a party in a long time. They did what's called live karaoke. So you have your karaoke set up, but instead of, a can band or, they even said instead of doing like a rock band behind you, because they had just announced Rock Band 4, that they actually had a live band. And those guys, I mean, they were so good. And, everybody, all the songs were like rock band songs. So everybody knew them, and, people were just kind of singing out in the crowd. And it was just, I don't normally like karaoke at all. I think it's pretty hokey, but it was a blast.
Yeah, there's something different about karaoke than playing with like the non-legit artist canned Muzak track of the song you like and singing along to it. Or having a fucking band behind you that, if you're slowing down and you're singing or whatever, you're ending up off key. Those guys can adjust and they mix it up and they bust out some sweet solos, and it is a different experience altogether. It's like singing with a band, but not a band.
Yeah, the backup band was, I mean, they were so good. The one lead guitar guy was always jumping in and helping out if someone kind of got off lyrics, or it was great.
Yeah. So Harmonix guys put it on a good go, but overall, PAX East, a blast. Smaller than usual, but the games that were there that shined really shined, and I think that was to the benefit of having a smaller thing. Were games like Overwatch that would have been one among many of Ubisoft's all their AAA titles and all of 2K's games and all of everyone else's games that wasn't present. I think those games actually had a chance to shine because those other guys were absent.
Yeah, and there's still a couple booths there that I wasn't even sure what they were. Like, what was that Krev or Kev or do you remember that big in the indie? Yeah, there's still I wasn't even sure what they were.
They got 40,000 likes on Facebook, and I still didn't understand what it was.
Yeah, but you know what? Good for them.
Yeah, but a good time. So I guess why on that, Tiff, why don't we hop into the show proper, and we'll try to keep this to a reasonable length show tonight since we burned through 20 minutes on PAX East, which is probably about right. So starting off, remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Donna comments. Thanks for using my comment on last week's episode. I'm so happy you're back. You don't even know. Absolutely love the show.
That's the
Donna.
voice you use for me.
Well, that's
your like go-to girl voice.
Well, that's my go-to girl that's infatuated with me voice. And I'm assuming Donna's infatuated with me. It may be Jay.
Hey, but what? Donna could be a guy. You don't know.
That would be a horrible guy's name. but Donna, you can weigh in on your gender if you prefer. If you're not, that's cool too. We're for everybody friendly here.
That's right. We love everyone.
But yes, we're glad to be back too.
Even though Jay's not here this week.
Yeah. So the show's a little different this week, but at least there's a show. So that's all we can give you. All right. Rebel Base comments. New viewer and new fan. Your show is funny, has tons of energy, and is entertaining as hell. Consider me a permanent viewer.
Okay, I want to know what the hell show this person watched first where all this happened.
where we were funny and had tons of energy.
I know, like it's crazy.
I feel like we always have tons of energy. Like this show is like watching any other show on Fast Forward. I tend to talk fast and loud, and
it must be one of better shows. Yeah.
Thanks, hon. They're all better shows. All right. Well, welcome aboard Rebel Base, and we're glad to have you as a permanent viewer. And we look forward to more comments from you in the future. And last but not least, I was going to say SH formful, but it's shameful comments. Nice episode last week. I'm glad you guys have returned from whatever crazy third world prison you were detained in.
All right, so now it's out there.
Yes, Jay and I were in a prison for 2 weeks, and that is really why we missed those 2 shows. We were in Colombia. We were trying to get the cocaine that fuels this show, and one thing led to another, and then there were guns, and then there were this big army of bikini-clad strippers that were hunting us down, and then Fidel Castro showed up from Cuba. He was like, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, I need some cocaine too." And then we all did lines with Fidel, and then we lost track of time, and then we got arrested. But
so then I had to come bail you guys out. So it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it was definitely fucked up. But we are glad to be back from that prison because it was. It's a good thing Jay and I were roommates because we.
I'm sure you were.
All right. Well, if any of you have feedback, like all that fine feedback, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And in site-related news, got nothing this week. No Jay, so we got absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
We'll just move right along onto what we're playing. So, Tiffany Electrify Nolan, what have you been playing this week?
Well, on top of all the stuff we played at PAX, definitely been getting some Destiny time in. We've been doing pretty well. Get our Crota Raid down to under an hour, which I think is pretty awesome. Pretty kind of quick in and out.
Under 45 minutes. What are you talking about?
Well, an hour is a good round number.
No.
So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I am kind of getting to the point where it's like, what's next? The dangling carrot might be a little too far out. I did try doing a little bit of some, what is it? The Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. I've been trying to play that off and on, but it's a little too stealthy for me. I have a lot of trouble with that type of game, so I keep trying to give it a try since we paid for it, but it's probably going to fall off my radar very quickly. Also been playing on my iPhone, what you'd like to call my baby game. My latest baby game is Heroes Charge, which is like a little action RPG battle arena type game. I think it's on Android.
If you watch her play, there seems to be no action to this. It's like she touches one thing and then she watches it and she says,
"Well, it's because I do auto.
I'm seeing how what happens."
Yeah, you can actually participate, but I just do like the auto battle stuff. It's much easier.
That seems like not a game at that point.
No, it is, because then I have to figure out who I'm leveling up, and it's fun. You got to collect characters, and I know you hate it, but it's very enjoyable for me, and I can do it, on the go. And how about you, Derek? What have you been playing?
I have been playing real games. I've been playing the fuck out of Destiny. Last week I did, now I got all 3 of my guys up to 32, so I got, I can do 3 Nightfalls a week. I do 3 Heroics a week. Do a couple raids a week. This is good shit, and I'm still loving it. And now that with the app, it's so much nicer. They're switching gear back and forth between guys, and it's a good time. And then since we got back from PAX yesterday, I played probably about an hour of Smite last night on the Xbox One, and that's got potential to be a good filler game when you don't have time for Destiny.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. It was not something that was on my radar before PAX, but it is certainly on my radar now. And like I said, for everybody else, that's coming out very shortly. I think in the next couple of weeks for everyone else.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that, Tiff, why don't we slam on over into the new releases? It's a very light week of new releases. There is only one new release out this week. It's a multi-platform release, and it's Ori and the Blind Forest. And this is out for the Xbox One and the PC. Now, this is the absolutely beautiful single-player platformer from Moon Studios. It's a Metroidvania-style shooter and platformer, and it was something I saw at E3 this year. All of the game's backgrounds look absolutely fantastic. They were all hand-painted by digital artists. They had brought in different digital artists to do all these different ones, and they're absolutely stunning. I had a blast checking out at E3. And one of the funny things at E3, and I probably said this in our after E3 show, but this game was built up from a team that was placed all over the world. And the first time that most of those guys ever met is when they all came out to E3 to present the game for the first time. And this game was, I know they led off with Call of Duty for the Microsoft press conference, but this was the original choice they were going to lead off the press conference with, but they thought that it might be too weird, because at the time you didn't really understand the game.
It's very artsy.
Yeah, so they actually chose against going with it, but it is that much of a quality game that they almost led the show with it. It's only $20. How can you go wrong? And later this year, it's going to also be out for the 360. But I had a lot of fun with it. If you're a Metroidvania style person, you like that type of platforming game, this has enough different mechanics to it to keep it interesting, and the sound is absolutely insane. The graphics are beautiful. I can't recommend this enough for $20.
Yeah, and I believe it's also family friendly, right?
Yes, yeah. There's it's not a uber violent platformer, so yeah, you could definitely get some family friendly fun out of it.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to. I know the line for this because they did have this on the floor at the Xbox booth, and the line for this seemed pretty long because I wanted to hop on there at some point, and it was pretty busy. So
it wasn't worth your time waiting now.
No, it really wasn't.
Because we can spend $20 2 days later, and
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But yeah, I definitely think we'll probably end up picking this one up.
Yeah, I would imagine at least some of the kids, if no one else, will get enjoyment out of it. But it's
right.
Another one of those good filler games where you got some time and you just want to do some mindless platforming. It's 12:30, you got a half hour before you're going to sleep. Just bust it out. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Tiff. Well, on that, why don't we hop on over into gaming news? First story.
New Xbox One matchmaking app stumbles out to preview program members, and this comes from Kotaku. Preview codes have been going out for Overdog, the exciting new matchmaking app for the Xbox One that brings players together based on interest rather than skill level. So far, it hasn't worked. Upon downloading and launching Overdog, users who actually get the app working are asked to build their profile in 2 steps. The first step is to select a number of entertainment interests from a small supplied list, and the second step is to select the sort of games you'd like to play with fans of your common interests. The final step is to set up. What is this? The final Overdog setup process seems to be a network error, odd choice. Of course, it's not a choice, but an error, which the folks at Overdog are working to fix. Thank goodness they launched to the dashboard preview program members first. So I'm not really sure what all that means. I know I actually have a code for this, and I have not tried it yet, but I think after the story, I definitely want to go try it and see what the fuck this means.
So what it is, if you look behind me, because Hit's got this behind me now, that's what
I just see a green screen behind you.
Okay, well, you have to look at the other thing that's delayed. So what it is it's an app that you fire up in the Xbox, and you will have a whole list of, after you narrow this down, a list of players that it matches you with that you can then play your various games with.
Right,
so
but that's how it's supposed to work.
Yes, and that's technically, I see DMZilla playing all the time, but I think he was involved with this. Like, if you actually look at their stats, it says playing Overdog on Overdog when you see them on your friends list playing. But yeah, so you get your choice of games, and then you get to pick players that it's matched you with, and it's a different type of thing. It's kind of how websites like Too Old to Play have worked in the past with matching people with your interest, but it's pushing that to the Xbox side of things. So
right, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, if it works, it's cool. It's, I guess, apparently from Kotaku's experience
it sounds like it's not working.
It's been broken from the get-go, but if it works, by all means, any other means you have to find people to play with, you might as well, because sometimes just having the best network connection, maybe your next door neighbor is like a KKK racist kid, and you've got the best connection to him, but he's not the guy you want to play with. So maybe you want to play with someone that maybe you're into to Rogers.ca or some Canadian broadcasting company stuff like Hit, and you're just like, hey, I need some players to play with, eh? Some other Canadian guys, eh? Who likes the Maple Leafs, eh? And then so hits like I like the Maple Leafs, and all of a sudden he's playing with all kinds of Leafs fans. Who knows? It just happens.
Are you? I really want to check his out now. Can you be like, I like women, I like men, like like is it gonna kind of extend into some almost like a dating type thing?
I don't think so. If you were like, I like hot chicks and strippers, I think you're gonna be matched with a bunch of guys that all like hot chicks. That's what I would
pick. It's like you know me.
Yes.
But no, I would put handsome older gamer and see what comes up.
Or younger gamer like me? I don't know. So I think it shows potential, but I guess we won't know until it rolls out more to more of the community. Because obviously, if it's only going to preview program members, you're getting a much smaller subset of them when this actually launches live, and you have a full user base on there.
Right, but isn't there something like you can't really talk about the preview program stuff either?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're always allowed to talk about the preview. Major Nelson tells everybody everything that's in the preview program. When each new build rolls out, everyone else just has to wait for it. Okay. I think you just can't complain about bugs.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's the qualification.
Gotcha.
All right, next story.
Bungie working on a fix for items lost in the Destiny companion app, and this comes from GameSpot. Bungie is working on a fix for a bug that is causing some Destiny players to lose items when they attempt to move them with the game's companion app, the developer has announced. Last month, Bungie released an update to the game's companion app, allowing players to equip or move weapons to their vaults from the comfort of their smartphones. Initially, this increased number of times players received Weasel errors, but this issue has been addressed since, so fewer players should encounter them. Okay, these are horrible sentences to read.
This is how that sentence goes. This will be cut out in the final show. But it goes, initially, this increased number of times players receive Weasel errors, but this issue has been addressed since.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So fewer players should. No, but you're putting the emphasis on the wrong part of your sentence.
Horrible sentence. Okay. However, the companion app is still having some issues. Additionally, we have heard reports that players are losing items when transferring items using the companion app, Bungie said in its latest weekly update. While we investigate this issue, please be sure to check all inventories amongst your characters and to use caution when transferring items during mission countdown timers and load-ins for maps. Bungie also said that if you're experiencing an issue where you can't see your Xbox characters on your Bungie.net profile or the companion app, that you should report it. Finally, the developer said that it will release update 1.1.2 before the release of the next expansion, House of Wolves, which, again, does not have a release date yet. But we all know it's coming in May.
Yes.
All right, so what do you think of this? Like, I know I had a couple issues. Like, there was a few times where I was scared, like I was moving something to the vault or from the vault, and it's just kind of spinning, and all of a sudden I got an error, and then 5 seconds later, it actually pops up. But I could see why, some people, they may have lost some things.
Yeah, I get those errors all the time when I'm in game doing it, but the stuff always comes through anyway. But I guess really the takeaway from here and the fact that Bungie kind of put it in their notes is, I guess the danger times are during mission countdown timers and load-ins for maps. So maybe you should wait until you're just standing somewhere before transferring something to your active character. Because
those are also times where I've tried to use heavy ammo packs and they've just not worked.
Back in the old days, they definitely have fixed that. Now there's no heavy ammo bugs, so I can constantly keep my 7 Galahorn rockets, no matter whether I die, whether I have to jump off the side so we can wipe to run for the chest and Crota. It doesn't matter. I always have my 7 now. So they are finally addressing some of these super long-standing bugs. I think that the benefits of the app certainly outweigh these 2 remote scenarios where you may lose something. Obviously, it'd be horrible, especially if you're transferring raid gear back and forth between
and
characters and you
lost raid gear. Yeah, that would really suck.
But just don't do it during the loading screens. Don't do it during the countdown timers, and it seems to work. And obviously, they know about this and they're working on it. So, but like I said, benefits outweigh the disadvantages.
Yeah,
certainly.
Definitely. But just be careful.
Yes. Next story.
Rock Band 4 is coming this year for Xbox One and the PS4. This is from The Verge. After years in hiding on hiatus, the age of instrument controllers is yet again upon us. Harmonix has announced that Rock Band 4, the first Rock Band title for this generation of home consoles, will be launching this year on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. The next Rock Band will largely be a continuation of the platform, in so much as players will be picking up guitar controllers, drum controllers, and a microphone to play along with both classic and more modern songs. Virtually all the 2,000 plus songs you bought for previous Rock Band games should transfer over to Rock Band 4, provided you stuck to the same console manufacturer when transitioning from generation to generation. So, for example, if you go from the 360 to the One, or the PS3 to the PS4. And if you have the old hardware, Harmonix is doing everything it can to make it compatible. There will be new hardware to buy, of course, which is being produced by Mad Catz. That's a pretty big compromise to those who invested a lot into years past. Why are you shaking your head?
It's not a compromise.
It's a big promise.
Yes.
All right, you suck. Okay, why don't you read the news?
No, you go ahead.
That's a pretty big promise to those who invested a lot into years past. As for what else Harmonix product manager Daniel Sussman promises, we'll know more at this summer's E3 gaming convention. So what do you think of this? Rock Band 4 coming out.
Obviously, this is your type of news. Actually, we all love Rock Band. But,
we do.
But this was your big thing back in the day, if you will. And I think it's huge news. There's obviously stuff missing. And they said they're going back to basics. There's no pro guitar, no pro bass, no keyboard. But this is the kind of stuff that people loved for a long time. We are all plenty happy with this. We all think about that. All the songs you already have, you'll be able to play on Rock Band 4, plus whatever new shit they put in there. And
there was not a lot of games that you can say that about. Like, they really do work extra hard to make sure that the music you buy goes from game to game to game.
Yep. And they have said this one's not going to cost anything, unlike in the past where there has been a import fee or whatever they used to call it. Yeah.
I mean, I know we have tons of peripherals still laying around the house. It'd be kind of cool to get those out. They are, from what I understand, they are charting pro drums, but that's the only pro instrument, I guess, that they're going to have in this next iteration. And they're doing as much as they can to, I'm sure there's going to be some type of adapters or something like that to get, if they can get it working, to get your old guitars and all your other old stuff to work with the new consoles.
No, I think this is great news because the Rock Band games have always been great party games. And up till now, like in our house, when the kids want to play Rock Band, they go up to one of the bedrooms and they play on one of the old Xbox 3 shitties up there. Like it's not suited to be the party game of choice unless it's on the current gen. And I think that this was long overdue. I think they waited just long enough to break back in the market with this. And I think the fact that the old DLC is coming in is what really is the selling point, because you've instantly sold let's say a $60 game now to fans of your series that have already spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on DLC.
Right.
So the value add is already there. So I think it's great news, and I'm looking so forward to this.
Yeah, and I was hanging out by the booth a little while over PAX East, and the number of pre-orders, they had a kind of an exclusive PAX East Penny Arcade guitar that they were selling there at their booth at PAX East, and they had to have been selling at least 60 to 100 an hour. I mean, easily. So I'd be kind of interested to see how many they actually did sell. I'm guessing probably multiple hundreds, if not 1,000 of them.
Yeah, and that guitar was premium priced because there was some charity kickbacks and other stuff to it. So they were charging $100 for that limited edition guitar.
Plus tax.
Yes. So think about when you get the real deal normal Mad Catz prices, how these things are going to go like hotcakes. But good stuff. All right. Next story.
Wow. That's a great lead-in. Thanks.
All right, next story.
There we go. This week's What the Fuck story. Comcast blocks HBO Go on PlayStation devices, and this comes from Game Politics. On Tuesday, Sony officially released the HBO Go app for PlayStation 4 owners. There was much rejoicing, unless you were a Comcast customer. For those poor souls, there was much wailing and gnashing of the teeth. Apparently, Comcast is one of the few broadband providers in the United States that currently does not support HBO Go on the PS4. In fact, Comcast in general seems to have a problem with Sony when it comes to getting entertainment apps to work on its consoles. Comcast subscribers who own a PS3 still can't use the HBO Go app, and that was made available to the platform way back in March of last year. Comcast has told large numbers of complaining customers that these apps aren't available because they rely on agreements that have yet to be agreed upon. But the worst part of the story is that Comcast has no time frame for when HBO Go will be made available on Sony's consoles.
Yeah, that's insane.
This is like fuck Comcast.
Comcast does this sort of thing all the time. So
I know
they obviously sell HBO as a package, and so by allowing people to watch HBO stuff without using their on-demand, without subscribing to HBO, they probably go to companies, and Microsoft obviously has big coffers too, but they probably go and they say, hey, you know what? You want to have this work on our network and be able to have people stream HBO content? Well, you got to at least throw us back a bone and give us something back. And Microsoft probably secretly pays that Comcast tax to allow people to use the app because they know that adds to the value of their console. Sony, on the other hand, is probably like, fuck you. You know, this app is provided by HBO. It's for their content. It goes over the internet. You're the ones that are segregating the content. So I think it's stories like this that really play to show just how fucking dickish Comcast is. Because, you know, if this never comes out, the only people that know that this app is fucked on Comcast are Comcast subscribers. So by getting some traction in news media, this actually gets out there and makes people judge for it. So some people do have choices of more than one network provider. I know here we can do Comcast, we do Fios. So we have Fios, we have fucking 100 megabits both directions, is fucking blazing fast as shit. We wouldn't go Comcast.
We almost switched. Yeah, we almost switched to Comcast though at one point. So I'm glad we stayed with Fios because it does seem like they're always blocking something or other.
Yeah. Now, granted, we pay for HBO and we have we could do HBO on demand, but the on demand listings from your provider are only limited to what they store on their server on the back end. They're not going to store, like, you can go on the HBO Go app right now. You can go back to season 1 of The Sopranos. You can go back to season 1 of Entourage. Your Comcast provider is not going to offer that full library on on their on demand. So this is just a real dick fucking move of Comcast. I guess it really shouldn't surprise us. It just goes in the line of dicks that Comcast pulls all the time. No.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, D Smooth, what do you think of that story?
Tiff, this story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, why don't we hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails. Altius asks, there was a lot of discussion on who was and wasn't present, the size of the show, etc. online this weekend during PAX East. Since you were there firsthand, what's your opinion? Well,
see the beginning of the show.
Yeah, we kind of covered this at the top of the show. We like to give Altius a little more than just the complete brush off, because usually his questions are pretty good. But it made more sense to cover this at the top of the show. But yeah, it was definitely surprising.
I actually did try to wait, if you recall, earlier in the show, because I had seen that LTS asked this. So LTS, I was trying to give you some love here, but Derek was just like, no.
No, it's how the show has to go. So. But yeah, it definitely surprised us. Like I didn't really look at the full exhibitor list before we went, and I just had made some assumptions. So I figured I didn't need to scroll down to you to see if Ubisoft was going to be there, because they're always there and they always have one of the biggest booths. And
there's always some, like, is there not an Assassin's Creed game coming out right now?
No, there's always an Assassin's Creed game. Right. There's always a Far Cry game. There's always, like, they always have something, like, they have The Division. Tom Clancy's The Division, one of the biggest fucking games that we saw at E3 that everybody's pumped about. And they don't even make a presence at PAX East to even show the same canned shit we saw at E3 for that. Like, it just didn't make sense. It was fucking shocking.
Yeah, and a lot of people that we know that normally would work at the Ubisoft booth were actually over at the Twitch booth, which I thought was kind of crazy that, Ubi wasn't even there. But, good for them that they were able to, at least get to the show and participate. But, yeah, it was just weird not seeing Ubi there. And like I said earlier, Bethesda wasn't there either, which, they usually have one or two games, big games that they're showing off.
Riot Games, always there, like in the most annoying spot of the show floor with a giant League of Legends live fucking esports thing going on, and they were not there on the show floor. And this would have been the year for them to be there, because there were 3 or 4 other giant MOBAs that are now fucking competing in their space. And you know what? They're not old and tired like fucking League. So
Right.
Yeah, it was surprising. I see why people are bitching on the internet, and I just don't understand it, except for what we said at the beginning of the show, where you spread yourself so thin you can't cover. You only have so much butter to cover a couple pieces of bread, and you might only be able to butter one.
Yeah, I don't see this trend changing either. I really think that a lot of these events are gonna get smaller. At least the big players showing up are gonna, they're gonna be less and less. But you are gonna see a lot more of these indie games popping up, and maybe it's not such a bad thing.
No, it definitely gets more eyeballs on things that usually wouldn't get the eyeballs, and instead of waiting 2 hours or 3 hours to watch the same 30-second demo we saw of the Division at E3, people waited in 20 different indie lines and saw titles that they wouldn't have seen otherwise. Yep. And I think we saw stuff because of that same reason. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but great question, Althea. Sorry we kind of stole your thunder at the beginning of the show, but it does not diminish your greatness. You are still great, and Tiff is using plausible deniability. All right, well, if any of you have fantastic fucking questions like Altius, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment in this episode's thread on the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors. Remember, if we had sponsors and you supported them, it would help support Still Got Game. So we're looking for sponsors. Call us, 773-527-2961. Email us, podcast@tooltoplay.com. Tell us what you're selling. We'll tell you what you're going to pay us. We'll sell it. You pay us. Boom. Done. Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/Tool to Play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. I, king of the fucking internet, god of everything that's fucking holy, I'm at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
I'm at twitter.com/Electrify.
Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/Tool to Play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/Tiff Nolan.
Pro.
I actually remember. I looked it up earlier just to make sure I knew what it was.
Because you always falter on that?
I always forget. So I was
Is it Tiff A. Nolan? Is it Tiff Nolan?
No, it's definitely Tiff Nolan.
Well done.
One word.
All right. We also have a YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/Tool to Play. That's where you can find archive versions of all of Tool to Play's fine video content, including all episodes of said show, Still Got Game. Also, old episodes of shows that are no longer on, like Thick and Thin with LB and Duty, or Hit's motherfucking
Yeah, Hit hasn't done any of those lately. Hit, what's up?
He's retired those, Tiff. So
he has. Oh,
yes, he is temporarily retired from Hit's motherfucking quit hit motherfucking hit hits. But if there is enough community response, Hit has told me personally he will bring them back. So
all right, we should start a movement here to bring back the Hit quick tits.
Yes.
I just make sure I got tits in there.
Yeah, you got to get tits in there. But
yeah.
If anyone wants Hit to come back and do some episodes of his show again, shoot us a comment, podcast@tooltoplay.com. Send us to on Twitter, 773-527-2961. Tell us you want Hit to come back and do a couple shows, because you know what? The guy works really fucking hard for us. I know if you could actually see him when he's working hard for us, it doesn't look like he's working hard.
He does not look like he's working hard at all.
He looks like he's watching TV, but to us, we know that he is really working hard behind the scenes. He is swapping out my backgrounds every now and then, and he does step up. And if I'm turning bright red, he lets me know that something's wrong with my camera.
Get the devil face going.
But yeah, so definitely let us know. And
he said he's playing Destiny right now.
Ah, nice. But yeah, we can see if we can get Hit back on and do his show. But that's where all of Tool to Play's video content is, youtube.com/Tool to Play. We also have an app on the iTunes App Store and the shitty communist Android App Store. It's absolutely free. It's the Tool to Play app. Go there, search up Tool to Play. Right now, it is a base level rudimentary app that will give you access to all of Tool to Play's news and video content. But we're looking for comments and suggestions. So just go get it for free. Check it out. And then, let us know what you think. Let us know what's missing. Let us know what you hate. Let us know what you like. And it will be extended to serve all of your needs. Also, please rate and review the podcast in iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews and we need some positive comments. So you go in there, you load up iTunes, you go to Still Got Game, click the little 5 stars button. It says, do you want to also write something about this? And you say, sure as fuck I do. Derek D. Smooth Nolan, handsome as a motherfucker, voice like an angel. I fucking love this show. Something to that effect. Right, Tiff?
That is exactly what I would say.
That is actually Tiff's review I just read.
Yeah, it is. Also, I would add, these guys just drop nuggets of information all over my face.
Oh, face, neck, and chest. Yes.
Yep.
That's something that we've heard before. Yes. Nugs of info.
Nugs.
Or nugs. dank nugs of info.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Also, we have a twitch.tv channel, twitch.tv/tool to play. That is where the live audience is viewing our show right now. We also have a lot of game streaming that goes on. Hit is broadcasting all the time on twitch.tv/tool to play.
He is probably broadcasting Destiny right now.
Yeah, if the show was not on, he would be broadcasting now. But if you're listening to this when we're not on, he is broadcasting Destiny right now. And, that is the place where we definitely do some of our finest work. At least Hit does. And we are looking to bring out more and more shows from the Tool to Play community. I know that Sarcasmo Jones has something in the burner that he's going to be putting out there soon. And there's going to be a lot more live content coming to twitch.tv/tool to play. So keep your eyes open there. I guess last but not least, I want to remind each and every one of you, you can join us here live Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/tool to play. And on that, Tiff, why don't we wrap this fucking episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
I am Tiffany Electrify Nolan.
Holla!
Bitches!